Welcome to Wicked Weather. I'm your host, Peter Lovasco, and it is Saturday night, and it's October 11th. I got a great guest for you tonight. Be calling in really shortly. I just spoke with him, Greg Johnson from Tornado Hunters on CMT Canada. Resides out of Regina, Saskatchewan. I don't know what Saskatchewan is. We'll have to ask him, and we'll have to ask him where he's been tornado chasing, storm chasing, and doing his photographs throughout the country in both the U.S. and Canada. So I believe they chase all of the Canada and the United States. So we'll ask him that. So I hope you all enjoying your Saturday evening as we wait for him to call in. Not too much to talk about so far this weekend. I know it's Columbus Day weekend coming up, so everybody's got a day off on Monday. I will be at an event on Sunday. I will be at the Victorian Mansion. I'm actually in the book. That was with a team of ghost hunters, Mass Ghost Hunters Paranormal Society. Also Mark Arvilla and Lauren Sheridan from Paranormal Hangover. They're on the DTM Wicked Radio Network. And I'll be out there with a friend of mine, and had my guest last week, which was Joni Mahan. I am in the book Bones in the Basement, so I will be signing autographs in that book as well. So looking forward to that. So that's my plans for Sunday. Other than that, it's been a quiet weekend around here so far. It's been a little cool, a little drizzly, a little cold and raw. I think our high temperature today made it to about 40, 48 maybe. I think we might have briefly touched 50 degrees today. But we got a little bit more rain than we actually expected. Currently, right now at Cape Ann, our temperature is 44 degrees. We're looking at a widespread frost tonight over the interior with temperatures in the 30s. Could be a few upper 20s in southeast New Hampshire, northwestern Massachusetts, and western Massachusetts, as well as central and southern Vermont and Maine. Right now, we have a northeast wind light around 3 miles per hour. And our dew point and air temperature match 44 degrees. So, I'm just waiting for Greg to call in. And once he calls in, we will get the show underway. If you have any questions for Greg Johnson, you can put it through the DTM Wicked Radio chat and listen room. Or you can call in at the number 1-818-431-8214. That's 1-818-431-8214. So, what else is there to talk about while I'm waiting for Greg Johnson? Does anybody want to ask me any questions from the chat room while I am waiting? I'm hoping he's going to be here really shortly as the show is going on. I just cracked open a 16-ounce of Coors Light. So, what a way to start the show as I take a sip. And it's not bad, actually. It's pretty good. Also, looking ahead to, we have a almost a hurricane off of Bermuda. I haven't really looked at the latest computer models, but it looks like it's still a tropical storm with 70-mile-per-hour winds. Excuse me, I'm just getting over a cold. And that's going to just maybe tropical storm warnings out for the Bermuda island. And I think that it's going to graze Bermuda, and then it's going to do a turn and go out to sea. As far as tropics go this year, it's been pretty quiet. As far as East Coast action goes, a lot of the activity's been staying offshore, and that coincides with the pattern that we've been in. All right, I got Greg calling in right now. Greg, welcome to the show.
How you doing, Peter?
Good. How are you?
Good, man. Good.
What's new, buddy?
Well, I'll tell you what. I am loving life right now. We got this July weather up here in October, and nothing could be better than that this time of year.
Up there in Canada? Was it Saskatchewan, correct?
Man, that's pretty good.
Is that good? Did I do good?
Yeah, that's not bad. I'll tell you a funny story. One time I was flying through Minneapolis Airport, and I had pictures of tornadoes and stuff on my computer screen, and this guy walks up to me and he says, hey, I see you got some tornado pictures on your computer there. Where are you from? And I said Saskatchewan. and he smiled and he nodded and he walked away. And I overheard him. His wife said, "Where did he say he's from?" He says, "I don't know. He doesn't speak English."
That's too funny. So you guys are having July weather up in Canada. You know, it's kind of really. Maybe we can talk about this before we get into the tornadoes. The weather pattern's been really, really funky the last couple of months. It seems like summer started late. I've talked to most of my guests about this. You know, we're now in October, and you know we're still in the 60s, 70s. Although today we didn't get above 44, 45 degrees up here in Cape Ann in Massachusetts. We had that cold, raw wind. What do you think's causing the warmer weather that's going on right now? That's actually making for a more severe weather outbreaks in the United States and Canada.
Well, whatever the polar vortex is, it's the opposite of that, I guess.
Okay.
You know what? It's probably beyond my pay grade. Listen. I have a theory about the whole the whole weather thing, and that is that there's just no way to you know, we just don't have enough knowledge. We haven't been studying this stuff for long enough to be able to make those determinations. I think that it's weather, man. Like it changes day to day and week to week, and I'm just happy whenever something good happens, like a tornado or a day like today. You know what I mean?
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. So why don't you tell the listeners a little bit about yourself? I know you are the star tornado hunters on the CMT Canada, and you're out of Regina, Saskatchewan. You're also a photographer. Why don't you tell everybody a little bit about yourself, how you got involved into this chasing, and what inspired you to become what you are now?
Well, you know, I began doing this, I'm going to say 10 years ago. And like a lot of people who get involved in it, I had that moment in time where, you know, I was caught in a dangerous situation, unaware of what was going on around me. And I was essentially trapped right next to a tornado, power poles coming down, lightning strikes all around me, these kind of things. And vehicle ended up in the ditch. And, you know, fortunately I survived. But ever since that moment, it was, you know, it was almost like a thirsty man looking for a drink, and I just needed to experience as much weather as I could. And being a photographer, it was a great outlet for my creativity, because I had a professional, you know, commercial studio, and if you can imagine this, I spent my days photographing clothes on mannequins and French fries and pickles and babies and weddings and all these kind of things. And you know, at a certain point, your creative juices just stop flowing. And for me, weather was that outlet. And then about 4 years ago, I had an opportunity to sell my business. Right. When I did that, you know, I basically didn't look back. And if there's one message that I could say that, you know, what has really helped me along the way is that I read this great book by two brothers, Chip and Dan Heath. This book, I don't know if you ever heard of it. It's called Made to Stick. Does that sound familiar at all?
It does sound familiar. Yeah, it does sound familiar.
Yeah, well, if you walk into any bookstore, you'll probably see it. It's got some duct tape on the cover kind of deal. But listen, this book is all about. It's basically a marketing or advertising book. Essentially, it's not a novel. It's like, you know, it's you know, like a business book kind of thing. But I'll tell you, there was a very simple message in there, and the message is, you know, if you want people to listen to what you're saying, there's a formula for how to do that. There's a formula to make your idea sticky, right?
Right.
And you know, like if I was to tell you a story, hey, you know, one day, this lady, you know, she walks into her house, and she's calling for her dog. And she's calling for her dog, Tippy, you know. And do you know the rest of the story, Peter?
No, I don't.
Okay, you've never heard that urban legend about the dog and the peanut butter?
No, I haven't.
Okay, well, I'm not going to go down that road then anyway. But the point is that there's certain stories and there's certain like television commercials and people that you meet that are super sticky, right? Like they stick with you. Their messages stick with you. And Yeah, and what I learned from reading this book is that there's a way to make that idea sticky, and it turns out the idea of being a tornado hunter is a very sticky idea, and so within a very short period of time, we had television producers and all the rest of it up and down our back trying to contact us about putting together a TV show, and here we are 3 years later.
That's awesome, man. And it's a great show too. You also wrote a book, Blown Away.
Yeah, man, that was my first book, and I'm in the process of actually this winter I'll be coming out with a second book. I haven't titled it yet. Any good ideas on a title?
If I come up with something, I'll let you know. Maybe we can ask the listeners if they have a title for a new book. And what does it revolve around? Storm chasing?
Yeah, I mean, the first book was all about storm chasing, Tornado Alley, that kind of thing. And this one will be similar in that sense, but it'll be a little bit more focused on pictures more so than the stories. I've had a couple years now to compile pictures, and as you know, the last couple of years we've just had some incredible storm events, and so I've got enough imagery now that I think I'm ready to put together a new book.
Canada gets a lot of tornado outbreaks, just like the United States. Now, do you travel all over Canada and all over the United States?
Yeah, I mean that's my thing is just I don't just stick in Canada. We do all through the U.S. as well, and so I was down there last year for the outbreak in Arkansas, Alabama, Mississippi. We were there at Pilger, Nebraska last year when we had the twin wedge tornadoes on the ground.
That was unbelievable. What did you think of that?
Man, I'll tell you what. There was just a handful of us there, and I will tell you that it was. People overuse the term once in a lifetime experience, but I mean this truly was maybe once in a generation experience, and I'm so thankful that I was there. Obviously, it was tragic. There was a couple people killed in Pilger, but there are events that happen throughout our lifetime that are just sort of iconic images that are going to stand the test of time, and Pilger was one of those. And I mean, I'm super fortunate that we probably had the best front row seat for that event out of anybody that was there, and so super fortunate for that. I was also at El Reno, Oklahoma last year.
You were at El Reno?
Yeah, man, we were actually caught in the El Reno tornado, and it's actually one of the episodes of Tornado Hunters focuses on the El Reno day, and that was another tragic day. Tim Samaras lost his life that day, and
yeah, that was a sad day.
And Tim was a friend of mine. We had just had supper with him the week before and shared a few drinks, tipped a few, and when that actually happened,
sorry to hear that.
Yeah, man, as scary as it was for us. And I mean, don't get me wrong. Anybody tells you that it wasn't terrifying and that they didn't crap their pants.
No, you can say that. You can say that. Okay.
Man, I'll tell you, anybody who denies having that emotion in that situation is full of it. Because I'm going to tell you, here's my story of that day. And fortunately, we had cameras rolling, but we were live streaming that day, Peter. And I want you to imagine we had close to 20,000 people tuned in watching our live stream.
Oh, I'm sure you guys usually have that. Yeah.
Yeah, and we're watching this tornado, and I'm imagine you're from Massachusetts, so you probably have you're probably a Red Sox fan. Is that correct?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so have you ever heard?
We sucked this year.
Yeah, it wasn't a good year for you guys or the Yankees, actually, was it?
Oh, was it? No.
That's okay. It gave the rest of the division a chance to actually win a few games this year.
So we got the Bruins, so we're all set.
Yeah. So if you can imagine this, we got all these people tuned in watching, and we're watching this massive tornado, and at the time it was about a quarter mile wide, and I mean that's a big tornado, right? And it was long track, it was long lived, it'd been already on the ground for about 20 minutes, and we're watching this thing. And if you've ever heard the baseball joke, and the joke goes this way, it says, I couldn't understand why the baseball was getting bigger, but then it hit me.
Right.
Well, that's what was happening to us, right? Like, all of a sudden, this tornado's getting bigger, and we're like, okay, we got to get out of here. Well, our exit route. We always have an exit route planned, and our exit route was to travel south to get out of the way of this tornado.
Absolutely.
And we were doing this. We got on this this little farm grid road, and unlike where you're from, as you know, out in the plains, every mile there's a north, south, east, west grid road, and so you have this opportunity to have a lot of exit strategies. So we had this exit strategy. We were going to head south, and we're heading south, but out our passenger window to our west, I mean, this tornado was getting bigger, and it was getting bigger, and it was like bearing down on us, and we knew all of a sudden that we were going to get trapped in it. The guy in front of us, turns out, is a friend of mine, Brandon Sullivan. We didn't know this at the time. He stops. Their vehicle stops in front of us. So we're blocked, right? Like, we have nowhere to go.
Right.
Well, what happened was a round bale, like a big 1,700-pound hay bale, hit their truck. They were disabled. They couldn't go any further. We had to hit the ditch just as this tornado was about to hit us. We hit the ditch. We're driving through the ditch. And you can imagine this, the farmyard on the right-hand side to our west literally explodes into a million pieces as we're driving by. The barn's flying over top of us. The barn's hitting the truck. I mean, it's a disaster, right?
Wow.
As this is all going on, we had our moment right out of the movie Twister.
I was going to say Twister. Yeah, absolutely. Wow.
Yeah, we have this farm truck is flying to helicopter style through the air, lands in the ditch that we're driving in. And then if you can imagine this, Ricky, our driver, pulls the wheel to the right. We get back out onto the road. We actually got air. We were in the air a little bit, about 4 or 5 feet, not too much, but enough that extreme damage done to the truck. And we just avoided that truck as it landed in front of us. But, we survived. I mean, we came out of that incident, and I can tell you that Ricky, our driver, I mean, this kid's 6'4", 25 years old. The guy's built like a brick shit house. He, he's an extreme athlete. He's survived an avalanche, the whole deal. This kid was shaking, and he was in tears. We really thought this was our time.
Yeah, you never know. I mean, even as a professional tornado hunter chaser, you can always be caught off guard, especially if they, what do they call them, back build or right turn, left turn. They can do anything they want, these tornadoes, right?
Yeah, and I mean, what happened this day was this tornado that was a quarter mile wide as we were watching it grew to 2.6 miles wide in a matter of just over a minute.
How do you outrun something like that, Greg? You can't.
You can't,
right?
man. That's why we got caught, and that's why Tim got caught. Prior to this, the largest tornado that any of us that were in the area, and I mean, there was hundreds of chase teams there. And
that's another problem, yeah.
Yeah, it was a bit of a problem that day too, but for all of us, we kind of have that 1 mile buffer zone, right? And we think of that 1 mile buffer zone as our safety zone because tornadoes just simply don't get that big. Well,
right.
On this day, it grew to 2.6 miles wide, and that's why we all got caught.
Wow.
And for any of your listeners that want to know more about that El Reno day, National Geographic, the magazine version, did a very good story on it.
On the Reno?
About Tim. Yeah, about El Reno, yeah, and they actually show a graphic of the damage path and how big it was at certain times. But I mean, where we got hit, we were on the south edge of a 2.5 mile wide damage path, and when you see the aftermath of these events, it's really hard to describe to somebody without actually being there. I imagine for flatlanders like me, if you were to tell me about being in a 30-foot wave, out on the ocean, I mean, I wouldn't have a sense of what that means.
Right.
And in the same way, somebody from the east, it's really hard to put into perspective what these storms can do out on the plains because you just don't see the same sort of thing out in the east, So,
right.
But it's an experience that man, it's like having a crack addiction or something. I mean, I'm sitting here right now in my comfy home in Canada, and I can't wait for the next tornado outbreak. I can't wait to be down there.
It looks like we might have one coming up this week sometime, right? Wednesday,
yeah,
Thursday.
Monday.
Looks like conditions right. Or Monday,
yeah,
Monday in the Midwest.
Monday is Thanksgiving up here in Canada, and if it wasn't for that and the fact that I got family commitments, I'd probably be in my truck heading south right now. Looks like
happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah, Thanksgiving this weekend, yeah. So, it looks like Mississippi, Oklahoma, Arkansas, maybe even Louisiana, parts of Louisiana could all be under the gun on Monday.
What about New England Wednesday? I saw the helicity values look pretty high again. They're over 200.
Yeah, you guys have had some good values, but I think the whole lack of heat thing is like I just don't think it gets enough. I don't think that gets enough play this time of year. The helicity is there, and there seems to be good shear and all the good stuff that happens when these big troughs come. But this time of year, man, it's just that heat's just missing.
We had a microburst a few days ago out in Western Mass. 100-mile-an-hour winds were recorded from that storm system.
Yeah, I saw the Storm Prediction Center report page, and I was looking at those wind damage reports. It was pretty amazing.
For October, absolutely. I mean, we don't experience this weather up here, Greg, in October. I mean, it's like I said, the weather's been really weird, really freaky lately. Which is now they're going into a winter patterns pretty soon. People asking me about snow-nados. I wanted to ask you, is it possible to get a snow-nado?
No, man. I'll tell you what. Last winter, right around January, there was a photo started circulating on Facebook of a snow tornado.
Okay.
And I did a little bit of investigation. I knew where this event was supposedly.
Yeah.
It was a zero wind day. When I say zero wind, it was like literally zero wind day, and it was an industrial stack, and it was giving off its plume, and because of the zero wind, it looked exactly like a funnel cloud. But no, you need to have that. That instability needs to be there, and you don't get that instability without the heat.
Wow.
Greg, hey, I got a funny little thing to tell you.
Go ahead.
The town that I grew up in when I was a little guy, I spent right up to high school years there, Gloucester, Ontario.
No way, really?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I've been dying to tell you that all week.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Is it like it's right on the lake, right?
It's actually just a little suburb of capital city of Ottawa.
What's the population?
150.
Oh, 150 people. That's it?
No, 150,000. Sorry.
Oh, okay. So you got us beat. Have you ever been up here on? Have you ever visited Cape Ann?
I'm going to tell you what. It's on my bucket list of things to do.
Oh, get up here. We'll cover Norista together.
Ever since I saw the movie Perfect Storm, man, I'm like, I got to do it. And not only that, y'all talk with such a goofy accent that I'm dying to get out there and experience it for real, man.
I love your accent, though. We love our Canadian brothers' accents. I mean, even though, I have a lot of friends in Canada, all around actually, and there are a lot of Canadian fans up there. There's hockey, and a lot of Bruins fans here, but we keep it real and we keep it cool. But it's all out of fun. You know what I mean, Greg?
We obviously we're hockey fans up here, but it's unreal to me how many Bruins fans there are up here.
Really, Canada?
You'd think everyone would be Toronto Maple Leafs fan or Montreal Canadiens fan, but it's kind of like think about the New England Patriots, right? If you're not from Boston,
yeah,
the Patriots are the devil, right? Like,
yeah, right.
The rest of the United States hates the Patriots. Like,
they hate us. They do.
I hope you have no illusions about that. Like, everywhere else, number one enemy is the Patriots. Well, it's the same thing up here. If you're not from Montreal, the Montreal Canadiens are they're the devil, and same thing with the Toronto Maple Leafs. So yeah, there's a lot of Bruins fans up here.
Wow. That's awesome. Hey, Greg, I got a question for you. What goes through your thought process and preparation before the day of the chase at night? Do you guys have some kind of method you go through? You go over the computer models. What exactly do you go to get into before you plan your day ahead, the next following day, as far as your chase goes and where it's going to lead you to?
I'm really glad you asked me that, because I get asked that question a lot, and I have a little bit of a different approach to chasing than a lot of my, and I'm going to use the word meteorologist, but my meteorologist friends have a different approach. But for me, I go onto my models, onto my model pages that I have bookmarked, and I go through and I look at everything, and I formulate a plan, right? So let's say the models, to me, to my eye, they're pointing towards western Kansas.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll pinpoint an area in western Kansas that I, think looks really ripe and timing-wise makes sense and all those kind of things. But then what I do is for our time out here on the plains, it's right around 1 a.m. in the morning. The Storm Prediction Center comes out with their day one forecast.
Right.
And so typically what we do, no matter where we are, no matter what we're doing, 1 a.m. means we're on the computer and we're looking at the SPC day one. And literally what I'm doing is I'm comparing you got to think about it. You got the best minds in meteorology on the planet, in Norman, Oklahoma. They're putting together the day one convective outlook. Listen, I think I do a pretty good job forecasting, but I'm like an ant. I'm like an ant compared to those brilliant minds, right? So
right.
I'm not going to argue with what they have to say. So when they come up with their convective forecast, I'm going to compare that to what I thought. Hopefully I'm going to be in the same neighborhood. Generally, we're generally in the same neighborhood. But I'm literally going to put a bullseye target in the middle of their highest risk area, and that's where we're going to drive to. And we wake up in the morning, and listen, if we have to be somewhere at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and we're 8 hours away, then 9 hours before we have to be there, we're gonna get in the car or in the truck, and we're going to drive. And if that means getting up at 3 in the morning, then we're getting up at 3 in the morning to go do that. And
is that right out of Canada? Do you come right out of Canada to come down?
That's not usually what we do. Usually
Yep.
during the tornado season, so I'm going to say middle of April till about middle of June, end of June.
Right.
We're gonna be spending our time down where we need to be. Now, as the season gets later, of course, we're farther north in the plains, which is beautiful for us, because being based, we're literally right on the U.S.-Canada border up here, and
right.
The farther north you go later in the season, fewer chasers are out there. Most of the chasers are based out in Kansas and Oklahoma, and they're not going to make that trek up to Minnesota, North Dakota, South Dakota, Wyoming, Montana, these kind of places. But great tornadoes, great visuals out there, and so that's our kind of sweet spot, right?
Yeah. So
yeah, we're literally gonna drive to that point that we think is the place to be, and then we're just gonna wait for convection to fire up, and then get into position as quick as we can. And I'll tell you what, we've had days where we drive to that spot, and then the tornadoes and the storms fire up, 2.5 hour drive away, and that's really frustrating. But we've also had days where we literally get to that spot, and as we arrive there, there's a tornado on the ground, or there's a storm that goes tornado warned within 5 or 10 minutes of us arriving, and those days are the ones that they're like it makes you feel like you've accomplished something,
Right. I mean, your photographs are unbelievable. You get up so close. You get up so close to these things. Is there like an adrenaline rush going through you when you're right there photographing these tornadoes and storms and the structures? And I mean, what's going through your mind when you're there and they're like, "Come on, Greg, we got to get out of here," and you're up there still taking your pictures?
Of our whole team, Peter, I am always the last one to get in the truck or want to go.
I figured that.
Yeah, I'm always the last one. But listen, I'll tell you, I used to do a lot of sports photography, and when you were watching a really good game, right?
Yeah.
When you're watching a really good game, the biggest challenge as a photographer is to keep shooting, right?
Right.
Because you get caught up in watching what it is you're seeing. It's like, man, this is fantastic, right? Same thing with storms. There's a few times this year, even at Pilger, there was a few times where I'm watching with my mouth open, right? My mouth's hanging down, and I'm just like, I can't believe what I'm seeing right now. And then you sort of brain clicks in, man, I gotta be shooting something here. And I've had that many times where it's like, I gotta stop watching this and I gotta start shooting. But there's a downside to that too, right? Because when you're shooting with a camera, your vision is limited to what you can see through that camera, and you don't get that full experience. A lot of times I wish that I wasn't a photographer, that I could just, soak it all in and take that all in. And what's great for me is when the guys are shooting video, a lot of times I'll go back and I'll watch that video that was shot at the same time that I was there and I was taking pictures, but I'll watch the video and I'll see things that I had no idea that they happened. And those are pretty cool moments too. But yeah, listen, the adrenaline rush is a big part of it, and fear, man. Fear's a great motivator, right? Like,
well, we live dangerously. We love it.
Man, I tell you, fear is an incredible motivator. It keeps you alive. Fear keeps you excited, man. Fear is what pushes that adrenaline through your veins, and fear's totally underrated, man. Every time I go out, there's a component of that experience which is all about fear, and I love that part of it. And it's not always fear for my own life, but I mean, we've seen these situations, where you watch a tornado and we've been watching it for 10 minutes, and all of a sudden, I see the roof of a house flying up in the air.
Yeah, and then you think of the people that are in that house. Exactly.
Man, that is such a terrifying moment because, you don't know what you just witnessed. Did you just witness somebody's life being taken? I mean, you definitely saw somebody's life being changed. Right. Those are terrifying moments, and it's totally underrated. How that plays into the experience, and it's not always a good thing. We had this. I don't want to cut you off, but let me tell you about an experience we had this year in Arkansas.
No, go ahead. Absolutely.
Do you remember hearing about the F4 that hit Mayflower in Valonia, Arkansas this year?
Yes. So
we were on that storm right from its genesis as it crossed the Arkansas River, and incredibly difficult terrain to chase in Arkansas because the trees are 150 feet tall. It's hills. There's no visual cues in a lot of cases. You're chasing by radar, not by visual, and it's very, very difficult and dangerous, frankly. We watched this mile-wide tornado. We chased it for over an hour, and it covered almost 60 miles through rural Arkansas. We got to Valonia, Arkansas, at about 10 o'clock at night. The tornado hit at night. It completely destroyed the town, and we were the first on scene with our truck, and we pull into this neighborhood, completely destroyed, brick houses, completely destroyed. And I don't want to make light
damage, right?
Yeah, it was unreal. But I don't want to make light of this. But I want you to imagine what a zombie apocalypse would look like. Here we are with our truck. We pull into this neighborhood. All the power's out, so the only light is from our truck. And people start coming out of this subdivision, and they've got injury. They're covered in mud. There's blood everywhere. They're injured. They're like holding on to each other, and they're coming out of this darkness of this neighborhood towards the light of our truck. I mean, those moments in time, Peter, I can't even. It's so hard to put it into words how that affects you and how that affects your life. And I mean, we did search and rescue till the sun came up, basically in the morning. And there was emergency personnel there within a few hours, and I mean it was a tragic event, but I'm so happy with what I do because I'm so thankful for that experience because how do I put this? Being there at a time where those people will never forget, their experience with you and being able to affect people's lives like that, super powerful, and I'm so grateful for it.
Greg, I mean, a lot of people out there think that tornado chasers, storm chasers are out for the thrill. They want to see the tornado touchdown, but really, in all reality, you guys are out there to cover these things so the public can be warned when you call it in. And I have total respect for you guys doing what you do and taking on Mother Nature's fury and putting your lives in danger for people you don't even know. I mean, much respect to you guys for that, man.
Well, thanks. You know what? I mean, our first obligation every time we're chasing is to make that phone call. Now, it's a quick one. It's 911. We don't do any reporting to National Weather Service. It's just too cumbersome a process. We literally just phone 911 and we say, here's the coordinates, here's what we're seeing. We hang up and then we keep going. And the number of times over the last, in particular the last 6 years, where we've been first on scene at really tragic stuff.
Yeah,
it's shocking to me how many times that actually happens, and it's certainly not what I signed up for. Listen, the adrenaline part of it, listen, I travel around with my two buddies. There's three of us.
Yeah.
In the truck. I get to do that for a living. Imagine that. And
right.
I won't lie to you. Every minute of it is we love it. We have so much fun. Imagine driving around with your buddies chasing storms all day. I mean, I'm super fortunate for that.
I'd love to go with you guys someday.
Yeah, man. Well, listen, I'd love to take you. And you know what? Those moments where really tragic stuff happens, they're very, very rare. It's a couple times every year. And when you think about the fact that, like, for example, this year we probably chased 200 supercells in 2014, and we had really 2 incidents where, help was required. It's a pretty small percentage, but when it happens, we're super happy that we're there on scene.
Yeah, and also, I mean, during your chases, when you come into a tragic situation like that, it's just like, you know what, guys, let's just call the chase off. We're going to go out, search and rescue. We're going to help everybody out. Because at that point, you're like, oh, my God, I can't believe what happened. And it's like the shock comes in. Like you were saying, it's like a zombie apocalypse. So it really plays with your feelings inside you guys after chasing that storm and then seeing, wow, look what the hell this friggin' thing did. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, this year was interesting. When we were at Pilger, which was the twin tornadoes in Nebraska, we didn't stop there. And the reason we didn't stop, and this is it's a fine line. In Valonia, we stopped. We spent the night there searching. In Pilger, we didn't stop, and a big part of it has to do with the fact that at the end of the day, I'm a reporter. I got a camera in my hand. I got a notepad. I'm telling stories. I'm a storyteller. We'll help when we're required to, or when we need to.
Right.
But we also get out of the way when we need to. And when there's the emergency personnel there, for example, when we were in Valonia, as soon as the FEMA people showed up,
mm-hmm.
we're out of there.
Right.
They've got a job to do. They've got search and rescue dogs. They've got helicopters. They've got all these kind of things. And we're certainly not equipped to do any of those kind of things. So when we need to, we stop and we help out, but we also are cognizant of when we're in the way, when we're a pain in the ass. And I don't want anybody's pain in the ass.
Oh, absolutely. Hey, Greg, I got a question for you. Someone wants to know, did tornadoes really skip?
Yeah, that's a real thing. Yeah, so we see that a lot. If you even if you Google tornado damage path photos, you'll see a lot of times a tornado be on the ground, let's say it's 5 miles, okay? So
yep.
It's 300 yards wide, it's on the ground for 5 miles, it leaves its damage path, and then all of a sudden it stops. The damage path, that is, it stops. And then 200 yards down the line, the damage path continues. And basically what happens is the tornado kind of cycles. It'll be on the ground for a period of time, and then its inflow or its energy gets cut off by the storm itself.
Right.
We call it rear flank downdraft. It kind of cuts that storm off. That tornado almost in a sense dissipates or ends, and then another one will develop in its place, a few hundred yards down the line. It's a very, very common phenomenon, and we've seen that many times where a whole entire line of homes or something will be destroyed, and then all of a sudden
right.
There's a home. It's fine, and then the next neighborhood it starts up again, the damage, and so that's a very real situation. And you can call it skipping, whatever you want to call it, but it's very real.
Greg, also I've also known I got friends that are tornado chasers out in the Midwest and Oklahoma area as well. What causes a tornado to stall? I've heard reports where a tornado will just sit over the same area and it won't move crossing the highway, and it'll just sit, and then it'll backbuild, it'll stay in the same spot, and it'll seem like it's not really racing off to the northeast or what direction it's supposed to be going. What causes that?
Well, the storm is, or the tornado is driven by the larger storm that it's that it's attached to, and if that storm's not moving anywhere, the tornado can sit by itself in the field. A couple classic examples of that. One was this year. It was last year, 2013, in Bennington, Kansas. We had this incredible wedge tornado that literally sat in the same farmer's field for over an hour.
Over an hour?
Over an hour, man. It was an incredibly well-documented tornado event because...
I was going to say, you must have got some great footage of that.
Not just us. There was literally hundreds, if not thousands, of storm chasers watching that storm. It was in Kansas. And it just literally sat in this field. Another great one was 2010 in South Dakota. There was the Dupree, South Dakota tornado. And again, this storm wasn't moving, and it produced 16 tornadoes in a 2-hour span, all at the same location.
16 tornadoes?
Yeah. So, I mean, this is a real phenomenon, but it's basically because the storm's not moving. Now, the opposite of that is, for example, the Joplin tornado from Joplin, Missouri in 2011.
Yeah. That
storm was traveling, if you can imagine this, 65 miles an hour. And so, as the moment that you sensed that you were in a dangerous spot, the tornado was already on top of you. Imagine a car driving at you at 65 miles an hour.
Yeah, right.
And that's how fast this mile-wide tornado was going. It's unbelievable when you think about it in those terms. And so this idea that, there's a certain speed that a tornado goes, I mean, there's no rules, let's put it that way.
Wow. I've never heard anything like that before. 16 tornadoes in one spot in over an hour. Greg.
Yeah, if you do a Google search for Dupree, South Dakota tornadoes, you'll see lots of photos of it. There was a number of chasers who were on it that day. That was 2010.
Dupree? Okay, 2010 Dupree. Okay. How equipped are your vehicles during the chase? And what do you guys do during the chase? Anything fun? I mean, do you guys listen to crazy music? I mean, what do you guys to get into the mood, or is it just all professionalism?
Okay, well, I'll start with the truck question. Our truck's bulletproof. It's got a coating of Line-X bed liner, truck bed liner on the outside, and
we've literally that's the red one, right?
Yeah, it's orange, yeah.
Yeah, orange, yeah.
Yeah, we literally shot it with a 22. I mean, not a high caliber gun, but we shot it with a gun to prove that it was bulletproof, and this thing can go through pretty much anything. Now, we're still. There's moments where we're like, man, we're too close or whatever. But Chris in the backseat, he's always saying, hey, trust the truck, right? Yeah. We've got rollover protection. It's an external roll cage instead of an interior roll cage. And mainly that's so that we kind of made it look a little Mad Max, made it look a little badass.
Yeah, it's pretty badass. It's definitely badass.
And we've got the bars that are around the front of the truck are what we call mitigation bars. And so these are designed, if you can imagine, we're driving along a highway and there's power lines down across the highway. There's a risk that those power lines can get sort of caught up in the things that are on the truck, but these mitigation bars cause the power line. They hit the mitigation bars and they bounce over the truck, and that's happened to us many times. And so the truck's really fortified. We carry a lot of extra gas on board because a lot of times we end up in places where there's just simply not a gas station for 100 miles around, But then as far as us on the road, I'll tell you what, we have a lot of fun. We do have a playlist, and if anybody wants to, everybody wants to send in any songs that should be added to our Tornado playlist, we got a great playlist that we play, and when we want to get pumped up a little bit, we'll throw that on the iPod, and we have a lot of fun with it. But you know what? There's a lot. The thing that people don't realize about storm chasing is the stuff that we post, the videos, the photos, all this kind of stuff. That's what I call the 1%, man. There's a lot of ass in uncomfortable truck seats for a long period of time, sometimes 18 hours a day in the truck.
Oh, yeah, you guys must be sore and tired, and, like, I'm just wondering how you do all that and then react when there's a tornado right there, like, and you guys have been driving for so long. I mean, just be like, oh, my God, what am I going to do?
Imagine this, man. The last 3 years, between 50 and 60,000 miles a year, and that's just in 3 months.
Wow.
Yeah.
Greg, what's a multi-vortex tornado, buddy?
So multi-vortex, again, a lot of great examples of that, even in 2014. Multi-vortex is when we see a tornado, we think of it, the classic thing that we think of as this one funnel coming down from the clouds. In a multi-vortex, that one funnel has within it several sub-vortices or sub-funnels, if you want to call them. And so that they end up, imagine a girl braiding her hair.
Yep.
That's exactly what the multi-vortex tornadoes are going to do. They're going to split apart. They're going to join together. They're going to braid in and around each other. And basically, they're going to be these small vortices within a larger funnel cloud. And they're pretty spectacular to see.
And they're more violent, correct?
They can be, because if you can imagine, let's say the parent tornado, that's what happened at El Reno. There's actually some school of thought that El Reno wasn't actually one large tornado, but one large mesocyclone with many small or multi-vortex tornadoes within the large parent circulation. And so if you can imagine, let's say the wind speed in the parent tornado is 150 miles an hour, those smaller vortices, they're spinning faster within that small. So there's areas within that large vortex that have wind speeds that are, some people have estimated in excess of 200, 250 miles per hour in those small multi-vortex tornadoes.
Wow. When you guys are filming, how big's your convoy? You got your truck, you got the crew, you got a few other vehicles. Do they stay back when you guys go ahead?
Yeah, they do. I mean, we've got the television production vehicles now. Sometimes they get a little too close, and we have to get on the radio and say, "Hey, you guys gotta stay back here." But you got to think of it. Imagine you're in that situation, Peter. You're the guy driving that production truck.
Yep.
That's just as frickin' exciting to you as it is to us.
Always.
And the thing is, though, I'm in a bulletproof truck, right?
Yeah.
They're not. So we have to be a little bit careful. But yeah, we've got a couple production vehicles that travel with us and coordinate where we're going and all these kind of things. I mean, listen, TV slows everything down. I'm going to tell you that right now.
Yeah.
Stuff that we could do, like we used to when we were traveling without television, we would say, okay, we have to go an hour down the road to get to this spot we need to be. We would leave an hour before we needed to be there.
Right.
Now we leave 2 hours before, because we might have to stop somewhere and plant some cameras. We might have to stop somewhere and do a quick interview. We may have to stop somewhere and the camera guy's got to change batteries or, all these different kind of things. So, we end up, it just, everything takes more time.
Well, you were looking for another name for your book. I was actually coming up for a name for a reality show, but you can use it if you want. I was thinking something like Dropped Off in a Warned Zone. What do you think of that?
Dropped off in a...
Warned Zone.
Oh, yeah, that's cool. Yeah.
That sounds pretty cool.
That's pretty good.
Something like a reality show or something like that. No, but seriously...
Let me interview you for a second. Okay. Do you go out on a boat?
I go on my sister's boat once in a while, on occasion, yeah.
Is it a fishing boat?
It's I guess it's like more luxury, not luxury, but like a water boat. But I've been out
like a pleasure craft.
Yeah, I've been out in the same boat. My grandfather's deceased, but I used to go out in the St. Joseph fishing boat. That was a big seine boat, yeah.
You ever go sport fishing, like deep sea fishing?
I've done that a few times. Yep.
Okay, I'll tell you what. If we can coordinate sometime, me coming to Gloucester and going for a fishing trip out of Gloucester, I'll take you storm chasing on the plains. That's a good deal.
You're on, man. You are on. We will go out with my brother-in-law's boat, and we will go out. We'll go deep sea fishing. Absolutely.
I love it. It's a deal,
we'll
man.
Do it.
We're gonna make this happen.
And then I'll have my bucket list out there. I mean, I have seen a few tornadoes myself. I lived in Tampa for a few years, and on my trek down in my early 20s, I saw a tornado cross 95 in the Carolinas, and you know how the Carolinas are just completely long. A lot of action goes on there, and when you see the pine trees swaying and you see the hook behind the trees coming across, I saw that thing rip some of the pavement off the highway. So I'm thinking maybe EF2.
Yeah, that's maybe if it's ripping pavement off the highway, it may even be more intense than EF2. You might even be EF3 or 4. Like, you know, the thing is that damage ratings, and you hear these ratings on these tornadoes. A lot of times, a tornado get an EF1 or an EF2 or even an EF0 rating, but that's just because it didn't hit anything substantial for it to destroy.
Yeah.
And so there's no real way to rate it otherwise. You know, we talk about that all the time up here in Canada because some of the places we chase, there's, you know, you talk about population density. Some of the places we chase, the population density is 0.
Right.
And so there's literally no structures. And so a lot of times these tornadoes, we got great footage of tornadoes that, you know, sit in a field somewhere for, you know, 45 minutes. They don't hit anything. They get a, you know, generally a rating of 0 or 1, and you know, if they would have hit something like a major urban center, you know, could have easily been a 3 or a 4. So I don't pay attention too much to those ratings unless it actually goes through a community because it's so hard to tell.
Greg, has there ever been an EF6 recorded?
Not that I'm aware of. I think it's sort of like a theoretical type thing. I mean, if there was ever going to be, it was at Joplin. I mean, I was at Joplin. I was at the epicenter of that event, and I was literally at ground zero. And
was that the 99 in Oklahoma?
No, that was May 22nd, 2011.
Oh, okay,
so,
Joplin, yeah.
Yeah, that was the deadliest tornado in the U.S. in the last 60 years. And I'm going to tell you, I was you know, I'm at ground zero of that event. And you're looking around in every direction, literally 360 degrees as far as you could see, and it was, you know, brick homes down to their cement, you know, foundations. There's literally nothing left anywhere you looked. And if that wasn't an EF6, then I don't know that theoretically you could ever get to that EF6 because that was as bad as it could possibly be.
Wow. Greg, any advice you give people that want to become storm chasers or enthusiasts that want to do what it is that you do? Maybe tell them a few things so that they're not going to get, I guess, core punch or get stuck in the storm. I know there's a lot of traffic as far as storm chasing goes. Like you said, sometimes there's thousands of storm chasers out there, and that causes a traffic jam, and that can also cause a potential life-threatening hazard as far as chasing a tornado. What would you give advice for upcoming storm chasers?
Well, first thing I'm going to tell you is don't believe everything you hear about the storm chaser traffic jams. I mean, I don't begrudge anybody that wants to go out there and chase storms. I mean, I get it, right? I mean, it's a pretty incredible experience. But if you're going to go out and do it, the best place to start is National Weather Service in every district in the U.S. offers spotter training courses. Yep,
they have Skywarn. Yep.
Yep, Skywarn spotter training courses, and the Skywarn program is absolutely the best place to start. You know, and SPC on their website has a great education, the number of education pages on their site, and really it's all about education and about understanding as much as you possibly can. I have seen people on the road that are in very dangerous places, and they're oblivious to the danger because they don't know what it is they're looking at. It's not raining where they are, and so they think they're not in danger. But, you know, when it comes to tornadoes, we're not looking for an area where it's raining. I want to be in the area where it's not raining because that's where the tornado is going to happen generally. So the more education you have, the better it is. And then as far as making a living at it, there's maybe a dozen of us around North America that are actually making their living storm chasing. Most everyone else has another job, and they do this as a hobby or for fun. And
right.
The reality is there's no money to be made in it. When it comes to media, over the last few years, I make a few bucks selling video to media, but when I say a few bucks, I'm talking about like soup kitchen for lunch kind of money, it's nobody's getting rich off of it. So for me, my particular skill is in photography, and that's where my background's at, and I've made a good living as a photographer. But if you're starting up and you want to get into it, for me, it's all about that Skywarn class and going to the National Weather Service and getting some training, because they offer it for free, and it's very invaluable just as a life skill. It's like swimming, right?
That's right. Let me just take a quick moment here. We're running it down to 4 minutes. I just got to thank my sponsors. I want to thank Rolling Hills Asylum in Batavia, New York. You're on my bucket list. Fort Williams Henry, Lake George, New York. Thanks for having me up there, and I'd love to be out there again. And my guest, Greg Johnson. And Greg, in a minute, I'm going to let you plug yourself, but I just want to tell you quickly, I have a friend of mine that's on, I had a guest, my first guest, he was my first guest, Captain Dave Marciano, Wicked Tuna. I don't know if you follow Wicked Tuna on National Geographic Channel.
I watch it all the time.
But I might be able to work something out with him possibly to get us out on that deep-sea fishing trip, and that might be a hell of a trip as well. Just briefly want to just tell you that we had a nor'easter here. I don't know if you track nor'easters up in Canada as well. They can be just as exciting as a tornado because they last longer, and they really have quite a punch. The winds build up throughout the night, and they really gust. We had one in 2012, Greg, up here that literally I told my friends at NECN, Matt Noyce and Tim Kelly, that they should send down a news crew down to the Bass Rocks where I live on the ocean here in Cape Ann, that the roofs are going to blow off the hotel. And wouldn't you know it, the roofs blew off those hotels from that storm. It was just something that I could feel. And living here, I knew that we were going to experience something like that. We had
Peter,
110.
in 1993, I was in Messina, New York, and it was the storm of the century, they call it. It was the nor'easter, happened in February 1993. And I think Messina got 10 feet of snow during that thing. It was unbelievable. So I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, and we gusted to 110 miles per hour, Greg. And I got to tell you, it really felt like we had a gravity wave come down because the trees just went swoosh, swoosh, like right out of the sky, not like a gust, just like dropped right out of the sky like a swoosh, swoosh. There was a donut hole over the ocean that was coming in, and it went just southwest of Cape Ann, so it went right over the Boston area. We were on that northeastern fringe of this powerful nor'easter that dropped 24 millibars in I think it was like 12 to 14 hours. And I knew when I saw that donut hole in the ocean coming towards our coastline, we're going to get hit hard. And from 7:30, the winds picked up. We were sustained at 75 to 85 for 3 hours. And then at 10 o'clock, just when you thought it was going to get better, we were sustained at 80 to 90. We were gusting over 100 to 110. And you could just see trees falling everywhere, power flashes. It was just unreal. I mean, Greg, I had my head out the window watching this shit. It was just so awesome. You know what I mean?
It can be just as amazing as a hurricane, frankly.
Absolutely. We're running out of time, Greg, but if you want to plug yourself right now, now's the time to let people know where they can find you and what you're about.
CMT.ca is where the TV episodes will be available online until we get an American broadcaster on board. TornadoHunter.com is the website. And on Twitter, it's Canado Greg, Canado Greg. And, we, like you already mentioned the book, and that's great. All that stuff you can reach on the website, TornadoHunter.com. Thanks so much for having me on today, Peter.
Greg, it was awesome having you, my friend. And I'm definitely going to hold you up on that. And we're going to have a fishing trip, and you're going to take me out tornado chasing, and we're going to document the whole damn thing because it's going to be like a bucket list. Awesome time, man. Awesome time.
I love it, man. I can't wait to go tuna fishing.
And if you're ever up in New England, come up here to Cape Ann and check me out. I'm in Gloucester, Mass., and we can hook up, and we can do a nor'easter together. And I'd love to have you back, buddy.
Thanks so much, man. Thanks for having me on.
All right. Have a great night, man.
Yeah, cheers.
All right. Bye-bye. That was Greg Johnson. I want to thank my listeners tonight for being on the show. Have a great night. Thank you. And I will see you next week. Bye-bye. I got